Good morning. So we're not going out, in fact, today. Rylan isn't feeling quite up for it yet.
Yeah, I was hoping I'd feel better today, but I guess just gotta be patient.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little more healing to go, hopefully tomorrow.
Yeah.
Doctor said that if she's feeling up for it, a max of an hour of walking a day is a good idea. So
Yeah. The only problem is, like, in order to get out of the apartment, we have to go down 6 flights of stairs and then up 8.
yeah.
And it's like stairs are kind of tough for me right now.
Yeah, I've been carrying her, but because she's on my back, it compresses her chest, and then it's harder to breathe, and so it's just
Yeah.
a bit of a challenge. And like walking on flat surfaces is enough of a challenge for you right now, anyway. So just give it time, you know.
Exactly. It is what it is. Sucks, but
We'll get there.
we'll get into the stairs later in the video.
Yeah.
But today, basically, we just wanted to give our first impressions. We've been living in Belgrade for 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're not gonna do any comparisons yet between other places we've been, but we just wanted to give off our first impressions.
Yeah. Well, we wanted to give off our impression of like how we perceived Serbia and Belgrade when we first got here versus how we're seeing it now, because it's changed. Just based on being here, the
Yeah.
experience has given us more of an idea of what it's really like.
Yeah, we feel a little bit like ready to talk about like things we like and don't like about it, and just things that we noticed now that we've actually been here for a little while. So number one, the first thing we noticed literally on the first night was that the nightlife here is really great. We haven't really been out to any like bars or clubs or anything, just because that's not really our thing that we do. But we noticed that like anywhere you go, pretty much within the city center, there's always going to be a lot of people. Things are open even on Sunday nights. And there's just like a really good energy around the city. Like
Yeah.
everyone's out about with their families and friends. So we really love that.
The city is very energetic, you know. People are moving, and there's activity most hours of the day. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Point number two that we noticed is that people who speak English are more rare here. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we don't expect you to speak English. We're happy to communicate by pointing at things and using sign language and
Google Translate.
Google Translate, and also using the very few Serbian words we know.
Yeah.
We're more than happy to do that. But it is pretty funny. We'll have a situation where we'll go to maybe a restaurant or we'll go to buy something, and we'll try to communicate best we can in English. And they'll say, "1 second, let me get my friend who speaks English," right? And they'll get their friend over here, and then they'll talk for us and stuff. So that's pretty funny.
Either that, or a few times we'll like ask for help or like ask for directions, and the person will either just say like, I don't speak English, or just like tell us no and walk away. But we
Which
get
is
it, right? Like,
understandable.
If someone
like,
came up to us like speaking full in Serbian, we wouldn't know what to say either. So.
yeah, we kind of just shrug, you know, and that's what they've been doing, so we get it.
Yeah. Third point is that things are kind of expensive here, especially food. Groceries are a little more expensive than we thought they would be, especially in the grocery stores. The markets are a little bit better. It's a good thing that Belgrade has a lot of green markets, but we just found that our original budget isn't really sticking here, especially because Nick eats a lot.
Yeah, I eat like 3 or 4 times as much as her.
Yeah.
So it's hard to keep up financially with that.
Yeah. And so what we've been doing is we've been eating mostly like cevapi, gyros, and like stuff in the bakery. Not to say that that's the only food here in Belgrade. There's a ton of different types of food available here, but it tends to be a little more pricey and a little out of our budget.
Yeah, so we stick to the things that are cheap, reliable, and accessible, and it seems to be working for us pretty well.
Yeah, it's still great food.
Point number 4 that we noticed is the longer we stay in Serbia, I think the better we get at communicating with the people who live here. And so we're noticing that as we get better at that, people are more friendly. When we first got here, we noticed a lot of people very flat, like straight-faced, you know, just like, what do you need? What do you want? Right? That kind of thing. But now that as we gain more experience talking to people, now we're starting to see the personalities come to life, you know, more smiles, more open communication, more jokes, you know, and
super friendly people.
Yeah, very, very friendly, very welcoming culture. And as we learn how to integrate ourselves into the society better, that comes out more and more. So we love that.
Definitely. And Nick brought up a good point the other day. The first week or so, we weren't really doing anything like social. And
Right.
so most of our interactions were with like people working customer service. And I feel like that's not really a fair way to judge people, like whether they're friendly or not, if they're just working customer service, because most
Yeah.
people don't like to work customer service, so they're not going to be happy and friendly all the time. But as we've had more experiences interacting with people outside of like retail and food service, it's been like amazing. Like everyone we run into has been super, super friendly, welcoming.
Yeah, so thank you guys for that. You guys have been great to us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. Number 5 is that the tap water tastes really nice. Not really much to it, but I wasn't sure what to expect coming in. Every country is going to be a little different with the taste of the tap water, how many minerals are in it and everything. But yeah, it tastes really good.
We like it.
Yeah.
So point number 6 that we noticed is when we first arrived here, we noticed a lot of the Eastern European communist brutalist architecture around. And at first, it creeped us out a bit. Like the architecture that we're used to in Canada is more either modern buildings made out of glass and steel, or like the classic North American suburban neighborhoods. That's what we grew up in, so that's what we're used to, right? And here, so this type of Eastern European architecture that we've been exposed to, it threw us off at first because we associate those buildings more negatively initially, but now and we're actually finding them like kind of comfortable and charming. Because we're staying in one basically, and we're surrounded by buildings like that, and we find like the more that you're integrated into neighborhoods like that, the more you tend to be comfortable in them. And so now like it doesn't bother us at all. But it was funny because we mentioned that we perceived them as creepy in the beginning, and we would get comments of like, "Oh, you bunch of babies, get over it." And so we are.
Have a couple of concrete buildings.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's also just like the culture shock of like arriving in a new country.
Yeah. We were probably also scared to begin with because we're in a new city. We don't know anything, and so our mood was probably just on edge to begin with, and then so therefore we perceived our surroundings as more threatening than they actually were. And now that we are comfortable, it feels more like home.
Yeah, exactly. It is very homey, very like community like. The next thing, number 7, is that there are a lot of hills in Belgrade. A lot of hills, a lot of stairs, especially because we're staying near the waterfront. And so like the city is like pretty elevated when compared to the waterfront level. And so like I said earlier in the video, like it's 14 flights of stairs wherever we want to go, plus more if we're like heading around different areas of the city. And so it's great exercise.
Great cardio.
Yeah, great cardio. Loved it in the beginning. Now that I'm feeling sick, not loving it so much. But it is, it's just something worth noting that there are a ton of hills and lots of stairs.
Point number 8, and we love this. The more we spend our time in Belgrade, the more we find places where cats like to hang out. They tend to prefer the grass and the bushes and the alleys, and so we've been spending more time looking into those places, and half the time now we're finding cats. And so we bring a little bag of treats in our bags to tempt them to come, and then we'll pet them, and they love it, and then they get some food. It's a great interaction. But Belgrade is great for cats. Lots of cats if you know where to look. And they're so friendly.
Yeah, really friendly.
Yeah, we love that.
Yeah. Another point that we noticed is that there's a ton of variety in the different landscapes across Belgrade, like within the city. So you've got the fortress area, which is super historic, beautiful, great views of the city, and it's got a certain like look about it, like the brick and stone and everything, very like medieval. I don't know if it's the correct time period.
Some of it is medieval.
Yeah. Seems like what I imagine to be medieval. And there's also a ton of green space too, not only at Kalemegdan, like the fortress, which is now like a huge park, but also like spread throughout the city. There's a ton of green space. And then you've also got Knez Mihaila, which is the main pedestrian street, which is very classic. Like it looks like what we imagine to be like Central European architecture. Just super comfortable, nice, like minimal cars. Really nice to walk around in. And then you've also got Belgrade Waterfront, which is much more modern. Kind of reminds us of like a cleaner Toronto. with like lots of more outdoor space, like bike lanes, places to run and walk, and like, you know, big shopping centers and stuff like that. So pretty much everywhere you go, you'll get like a totally different vibe. So that's one thing I really loved about Belgrade, is that you know, no matter where you are, like you can always find something new to experience.
I love that Belgrade has a lot of places to sit. There's
Sure.
you can sit.
You know Nick's rule.
Yeah, so I have a rule, if you haven't heard it already. If you don't have to stand, sit down. And if you don't have to sit down, lie down.
Yeah.
Why waste energy, right? Stay comfortable. But yeah, I think partially is that you guys have a lot of benches everywhere. And then also because there's a lot of up and down hills, there's some stairs that you can sit on in a lot of places as well. And so, you know, if you just want to sit down, have a bite to eat, take a break, just rest for a minute, there's plenty of places to sit down and do that. You don't have to walk around and look for a bench like a lot of places we've been to.
Definitely.
And our last point is something I've personally noticed. I love to drink milk. It's my favorite thing to drink. If I had to choose in a fridge what to drink, I'm probably gonna pick milk. And I noticed that the milk here, it's very hard to find milk that has a fat content below 2.8%. Most of the milk here is 2.8% fat content or higher. My personal preference is to have 1% to 0%. And so like, I don't mind, but it's just one interesting thing I noticed is that compared to Canadian milk, most people will buy 1 or 2%. Here, you can't find that. And I just thought that was interesting. Yeah,
we haven't found any like skim milk or anything like that. But I will say, I believe that Serbia and just the Balkans in general are famous for really, really high quality dairy products. And we've definitely seen that with the cheeses and the
yogurt.
Kaymak, the yogurt. Yeah, it's so delicious. And the milk too. Like, I haven't tried the milk on its own.
But we love your milk.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, those are our first impressions of Belgrade, 2 weeks in. We've got another 2 weeks here. There's a lot of stuff that we want to do, but unfortunately we won't be able to hit everything that we have on our bucket list. Like, we really wanted to go see a niche, but since we're working full time, we don't really have a ton of flexibility during the week.
For big trips that leave the city, we can only do that on weekends right now.
Yeah, and it's also like budget dependent too. We're not really into the idea of renting a car, so yeah, at least.
Yeah, maybe in the future, but right now we haven't. We don't want to spend the money for it yet, and also European roads are very different from North American roads, and that's intimidating because I'll be the one driving. I don't know if I can handle that.
We probably should have learned how to drive stick before coming here, but
yeah, because most vehicles here are standard, whereas in North America most vehicles are automatic transmission. And so we are both comfortable with driving an automatic transmission because that's what is available to us. And so I have almost no experience driving manual. And so manual cars are also cheaper to rent. So
we'll see. We'll see how much we can get away with without renting a car. But for now, we usually budget for like 1 or 2 day trips per month. And so for now, we're just going to try and explore the rest of Belgrade while staying pretty close to home so that we can go to work. But yeah, we've got 2 weeks left, and we're excited to make the most of it and explore more of the city. We love it so far, and we're excited to see what else we can learn.
All right, so thanks for watching, guys. Hope you found interest in what we had to say about our impressions so far. If you have any additional things you want to talk about regarding what we've talked about or anything at all, feel free to comment.
Yeah.
And yeah, see you next time.